The night sky over a vast continent glows with millions of tiny lights, each representing a human life, a story unfolding. From space, North America looks peaceful, unified, a single shape suspended in darkness. But beneath this calm surface lies a land marked by extremes, towering mountains and endless plains, ancient civilizations and cutting-edge cities, unimaginable wealth and deep struggle. Tonight, we embark on a journey across the most influential continent of the modern world, a continent whose ideas, innovations, and cultural power ripple across the planet daily, shaping everything from entertainment and politics to science and technology. Yet despite its global reach, North America remains full of mysteries, contradictions, and forgotten histories. Our story begins long before skyscrapers pierced the clouds of Manhattan or gold fever swept through California, long before the borders we recognize today existed. For tens of thousands of years, North America was home to diverse indigenous nations, complex, sophisticated societies that developed agricultural systems, trade routes, and astronomy observations independent of Europe, Asia, or Africa. Many estimates suggest that by the year 1491, just before European contact, the continent's population may have been comparable to that of Western Europe, with thriving cities, advanced irrigation systems in the American Southwest, and vast networks linking peoples across thousands of miles. Imagine ancient megacities like Cahokia, near present-day St. Louis, where tens of thousands once lived. Massive earthen mounds rose as monuments to ritual and social organization. In central Mexico, civilizations like the Olmecs, Maya, and Aztecs reached astonishing heights in mathematics, engineering, and astronomy. Their calendars mapped the heavens with precision that continues to astonish modern scientists. Yet while these cultures developed independently, they shared a profound connection to the land. They viewed earth and sky as interconnected forces, not resources to be conquered, but relationships to be honored. This worldview would profoundly clash with the European mindset when explorers arrived seeking riches, land, and power. But before we reach that moment of collision, our journey through North America must begin with its very formation. The continent itself was shaped by violent geological forces millions of years ago. Massive tectonic collisions thrust up mountain ranges like the Rockies and Sierra Nevada. Volcanic eruptions carved new landscapes across the Pacific Northwest, and glaciers sculpted the Great Lakes as they retreated at the end of the last ice age around 10,000 years ago. These glaciers, miles thick, flattened plains, carved valleys, and created the fertile lands that would one day sustain entire nations. As the ice retreated, humans migrated southward across the continent, following herds of mammoths and bison, spreading across forests, plains, coasts, and deserts. Archaeological evidence suggests people may have been present far earlier than scientists once believed, challenging long-held assumptions about when humans first arrived in the Americas. Sites in places like Texas, New Mexico, and Canada continue to reveal stone tools, bone fragments, and ancient hearths that push timelines deeper into the past, revealing a story still unfolding. Thousands of years later, when Europeans finally crossed the Atlantic, they encountered lands already shaped by human hands, systems of governance, alliances between nations, and trade stretching from the Gulf of Mexico to the Great Lakes. But this encounter, often mythologized as discovery, triggered dramatic and often tragic transformations. Diseases carried unknowingly across the ocean devastated indigenous populations, wiping out millions within decades, altering societies faster than any war or invasion could. As European settlements spread, the landscapes of North America became battlegrounds for competing empires. Spain in the south, France in the Caribbean and Canada, and Britain along the Atlantic coast. These powers fought not only for resources and land, but for dominance over global trade and influence. And all the while, indigenous nations resisted, negotiated, and adapted in a struggle that would define centuries of history. But beyond conflict, North America became a crossroads of cultures. Millions arrived from Africa, forced into brutal labor through the transatlantic slave trade. Europeans continued to migrate by the millions, seeking opportunity, religious freedom, or survival from famine and war. Later waves of immigration brought Chinese laborers who built railways across vast distances, and workers from Latin America who cultivated farms and shaped communities across the continent. Slowly, unevenly, painfully, these populations built the foundations of the modern nations we know today. Canada, the United States, Mexico, and the island nations of the Caribbean. Despite vastly different origins and political systems, their histories intertwine like rivers merging into a single current. Our exploration will trace this current through triumphs and tragedies, revolutions, civil wars, industrial transformation, cultural revolutions, and global influence that continues to expand. We'll uncover the forces that shaped one of humanity's greatest experiments in democracy, capitalism, multiculturalism, and innovation. Yet the story of North America is not merely one of progress. It is also a story of displacement, environmental exploitation, inequality, and ongoing struggles for justice and recognition. And these tensions are not relics of the past. They continue to define the continent's evolving identity today. Standing at the edge of the Grand Canyon, one feels both the incomprehensible depth of geological time and the fleeting presence of human history within it. This is the essence of North America, a land shaped by deep forces, scientific, environmental, social, and political, all interacting in complex and unpredictable ways. As we journey through the continent in this documentary, we will move across time and space, through the ancient worlds of the First Nations, the arrival of Europeans, the birth of modern nations, and the innovations of the digital age that spread outward from Silicon Valley and beyond. And as we travel, we'll search for answers to a deeper question. What makes North America what it is today? What invisible forces shaped its rise? And what challenges lie ahead? This is the beginning of our journey. The rain falls gently over a quiet New England forest. Through the darkness, one can almost imagine the first European settlements huddled beneath the trees, small, fragile outposts carved into a vast, unfamiliar land. For those early colonists, North America represented both hope and terror, endless possibilities shadowed by hardship and uncertainty. Many did not survive their first winters. And yet, these early settlements set into motion a chain of events that would reshape the world. The continent soon became a magnet for ambition. Ships sailed across the Atlantic, carrying settlers, supplies, and the dreams of people searching for a better life. Others were brought here against their will, enslaved and forced to labor in brutal conditions that fueled colonial economies. The wealth extracted from land, and people transformed North America into a battleground for empire. By the mid-18th century, the struggle for control erupted into war. The French and Indian War, fought between Britain and France alongside indigenous allies, was more than a territorial dispute. It was a turning point. Britain's victory expanded its control across the continent, but left the empire deeply in debt, forcing new taxes on the American colonies. Those taxes helped ignite revolutionary sparks. In city streets, taverns, and meeting halls, colonists debated their future. Were they subjects or something more? The ideals of liberty, self-governance, and representation began to crystallize into a revolutionary cause. Farmers and merchants, scholars and laborers. It was not a revolution led by kings or military elites, but by ordinary people united by extraordinary conviction. When gunfire erupted at Lexington and Concord in 1775, the world changed. The American Revolution was not just a rebellion, it was the birth of a new political experiment, a republic founded on principles rather than monarchs. The Declaration of Independence proclaimed that all men were created equal, though reality did not yet reflect those ideals. Enslaved Africans remained in bondage, indigenous nations faced displacement, and women held few rights. The contradictions of liberty and oppression would echo across generations. Meanwhile, north of the young United States, Canada took a different path. It remained under British influence, evolving gradually rather than through violent revolution. The relationship between French and English communities became a defining feature, reflected in bilingual policies and cultural identity that endure today. Canada's Confederation in 1867 marked another milestone in North America's political development, a peaceful nation-building process shaped by negotiation rather than war. South of the United States, Mexico faced its own revolutionary struggle for independence from Spain. It won freedom in 1821, but internal conflicts, foreign interventions, and territorial losses, including the Mexican-American War and the annexation of what is now the American Southwest, reshaped borders and identities. The echoes of these events continue to influence political discourse and migration today. The 19th century also witnessed profound territorial expansion across North America, driven by the ideology of manifest destiny, the belief that American settlers were destined to expand across the continent. Millions moved westward. Railroads stitched together vast distances, connecting coasts and fueling commerce. Towns blossomed overnight along tracks cut through mountains and plains. But this expansion came at a devastating cost. Indigenous nations were forcibly removed from ancestral lands. Treaties were broken, cultures suppressed, and conflicts escalated into violent wars. The Trail of Tears, the Plains Wars, and the destruction of buffalo herds represent some of the darkest chapters in North American history. The consequences still resonate today in ongoing struggles for sovereignty, cultural preservation, and justice. As settlers moved west, new industries emerged. The gold rush of 1848 transformed California, drawing fortune seekers from across the world. Mining towns filled with prospectors, merchants, and workers of every background. Boomtowns sprung up overnight. Some vanished just as quickly. The dream of sudden wealth fueled migrations and shaped the mythology of the American West. At the same time, the institution of slavery deepened conflicts between northern and southern states. The question of whether new territories would permit slavery sparked fierce political battles. These tensions erupted into the Civil War in 1861, a conflict that killed more Americans than any foreign war before or since. The war ended slavery, but left unresolved racial inequalities that remain central to American society today. Following the war, the United States entered a period of rapid industrialization. Steel, railroads, oil, and manufacturing transformed the economy. Immigration surged as millions arrived from Europe seeking opportunity. Cities expanded upward and outward, powered by mechanization and new infrastructure. Electricity illuminated streets, telephones connected voices across distances, and automobiles began reshaping landscapes and daily life. Canada and Mexico experienced their own industrial transformations, though at different paces and under different conditions. Rail networks expanded, mining and agriculture intensified, and urban centers grew. The Mexican Revolution in the early 20th century reshaped land ownership and political power, leaving lasting impacts on social and economic structures. The 20th century brought new challenges and global conflicts. North America emerged as a leading force in both World War I and World War II. The United States, in particular, transitioned from regional power to global superpower, influencing international politics, economics, and culture on an unprecedented scale. Post-war prosperity fueled consumerism, suburban expansion, and a technological revolution. But prosperity was never universal. Civil rights movements surged in the United States and Canada, challenging segregation, inequality, and discrimination. Indigenous communities across the continent fought for recognition, land rights, and cultural survival. Activists, Artists and leaders inspired generations to push for justice and equality. Meanwhile, new industries transformed landscapes and ways of life. Silicon Valley emerged as a hub of innovation, sparking the digital revolution. Media, entertainment, and technology from North America spread worldwide, shaping global culture in profound ways, from music and film to social media platforms. Yet beneath economic growth and technological advancement, environmental concerns deepened. Vast forests were cleared, wildlife habitats destroyed, and rivers polluted. The Dust Bowl of the 1930s illustrated the consequences of unsustainable agricultural practices, while melting glaciers and rising sea levels today highlight ongoing climate challenges. And so, North America entered the 21st century as a continent of paradoxes: immense wealth and persistent inequality, groundbreaking innovation and environmental risk, cultural diversity and social tension. But its story does not end here. In our final chapter, we will explore the unfinished narrative of North America, the forces shaping its future, the challenges it must confront, and the opportunities that may define the next century. The night sky over North America glows with scattered constellations, faint pinpoints of light shimmering across the vast curvature of the continent. The cities below flicker like luminous islands, modern beacons pulsing with energy, ambition, and the restless rhythm of life. Beneath this silent dome of stars, North America stands on the threshold of a new era, one shaped not only by the triumphs and tragedies of its past, but also by the choices yet to come. The story of this continent has always been intertwined with reinvention. From ancient civilizations to modern megacities, North America has continuously remade itself, embracing changes that transformed ecology, identity, governance, and technology. Today, it faces challenges as immense as the landscapes that define it. Climate change threatens coastlines and forests. Migration flows intensify debates about belonging and borders. Economic inequality tests the resilience of democratic institutions. And emerging technologies raise ethical questions about privacy, power, and the future of work. Yet history suggests that North America often finds innovation in adversity. Communities devastated by natural disasters rebuild with stronger infrastructure. Nations fractured by conflict transform legal frameworks and social norms. Movements born from grassroots activism reshape national conversation and policy. The continent's narrative remains one of motion, forward, sometimes uncertain, but propelled by the belief that progress is possible. Across the United States, Canada, Mexico, and neighboring nations, ecosystems continue to reflect both vulnerability and resilience. The Arctic melts faster each year, opening new sea routes and geopolitical dilemmas. Wildfires reshape landscapes from California to British Columbia, while hurricanes intensify in the Gulf of Mexico and along the East Coast. Scientists warn that action is urgent, yet innovation offers hope. Renewable energy systems expand, conservation projects restore habitats, and indigenous environmental knowledge inspires new approaches to stewardship. Just as landscapes evolve, identities shift. North America's people reflect centuries of movement, voluntary and forced, welcomed and resisted. Today, cities such as Toronto, Los Angeles, and Mexico City reflect extraordinary cultural diversity, where languages, cuisines, and traditions blend into vibrant expressions of shared experience. The struggle for inclusion persists, but so too does the potential for empathy, collaboration, and dialogue. Economically, North America remains a powerhouse. Its industries influence global finance, technology, entertainment, and agriculture. Silicon Valley's innovations ripple across the planet. Hollywood exports culture to every corner of the world. Factories and supply chains connect Mexico's manufacturing centers to Canadian resources and American markets. Despite tensions and inequalities, the shared regional economy continues to intertwine destinies. But perhaps the most profound question facing North America lies not in markets or borders, but in values? Can it reconcile its founding ideals with the realities of modern society? Can it acknowledge and repair historical injustices while forging pathways toward shared prosperity? Can it balance individual freedom with collective responsibility? The answer remains unwritten. It lives in the hands of future generations, in classrooms and voting booths, in community organizations and scientific laboratories, in every conversation about who belongs and who decides. The story of North America is unfinished because it is being written every day by millions of voices, each shaping fragments of a continental future. As dawn breaks across the continent, light sweeps from east to west, from Newfoundland's rocky coastlines to the peaks of the Rockies, from the Great Lakes to the deserts of the Southwest, from the streets of Montreal to the bustling markets of Mexico City. The sun reveals a land rich in complexity, contradictions, and potential. To listen to North America is to hear echoes of ancient footsteps alongside the hum of modern engines, to sense both the memory of loss and the promise of renewal, to confront difficult truths while imagining brighter horizons. Its mountains, rivers, and forests remind us that nature endures beyond human conflict. Its cities remind us that humanity can rise to meet challenges through innovation, resilience, and cooperation. The journey across this vast and layered continent reveals more than history. It invites us to reflect on what it means to be part of an evolving story. A story shaped by migration, struggle, creativity, and hope. A story that stretches beyond borders and generations. A story still unfolding. Thank you for joining us on this cinematic exploration of North America. If this journey inspired you, challenged your perspective, or sparked curiosity about the past and future of this remarkable continent, we invite you to continue exploring with us. Subscribe to our channel, share this documentary with friends, and leave a comment about what part of North America's story moved you most. Together, let's keep uncovering the stories that shape our world.